In this video, we're going to look at the virgin birth as a symbol for spiritual transformation. What does it mean when Christmas happens in you? Hi, I'm Maciel, and this is the Mystical Christ. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this channel by clicking on the button below, and also click on the like button, and be sure to click on the notification bell so that you'll know every time a new video is posted. So let's dive into this, shall we? Roughly, the story starts with the Annunciation to Mary, Jesus' mother, by the Archangel Gabriel, who tells her that she is pregnant and is going to have a baby, and that the baby will be the Son of God. So, big news. What the Bible doesn't say, but as mystics, I'm sure you know by now that this story is not just about the person we call Jesus, it's also about us, about you and me, everyone who has ever been born, and everyone who will be born in the future. So this is more about a spiritual reality than it is about a historical person. Now, this in no way discredits or discounts or minimizes the story of Jesus. But without this understanding, the story of Jesus has very little meaning. It does little for us in our journey on the spiritual path. If we look at the story in terms of mythology, we know that the virgin birth is an event that is described in most of the world's major religions. Every avatar who has ever been born was born in some version of the virgin birth. Buddha, for instance, was born out of his mother's side. Since this is a perennial story, what is it telling us? Most of all, it's telling us that we need to be born up out of our animal nature into our divine nature, which is described in the New Testament as the Christ within. But we're not looking at this in terms of mythology. We're looking at it in terms of mysticism, which for our purposes here means the experience of God, not simply the belief in God. So the first question comes up: should we die to our animal nature? Well, some people think that we should not only die to it, that we should help it along by killing it ourselves. Believe me, that is not the mystic way. The mystic way is to integrate our animal nature, not destroy it. Jesus was born in a cave, so we're told, amongst animals. He was even lying in a manger, which is a trough used to feed animals. So in a very real sense, as the story tells us, he's lifted up out of the animal domain into the human domain, and then later he'll be lifted from the human domain into the divine domain. And he did so, he went through all of that because this is what we go through, and he was showing us the way. And the way, of course, consists of steps, evolutionary steps, you might say, steps of development, soul development, which is like saying character development. But when we're born into our higher nature, it's more than becoming a good person. Because as we enter into those higher realms of our own nature, we discover abilities that we did not know that we had. We're able to see more, hear more, and understand more. Our hearts are opened in compassion, but also in courage. So the way that Jesus is showing us is a way to rise up out of our lower nature into our higher nature so that we can function more fully the way God intended us to function. We learn how to live the way that God created us to live. So if you like this video, be sure to click the like button below. Don't forget. And at the end, I'll put a link to an article that goes into this at much greater depth on my blog, themysticalchrist.org. One of the things that the virgin birth tells us is that we are, at our inmost nature, pure. Now, both words, pure and virginal, basically mean uncorrupted. A pure substance is one that hasn't been adulterated by other material that is of lesser quality. At the core of our being, that's what we are. We're pure. We're uncorrupted. We are as God created us to be. But in our encounter with earth life, we pick up a lot of stuff. So when we come into our own, when we become adults, there's a lot of house cleaning to do. This doesn't mean that there was something wrong with us from the beginning, because there wasn't. And it's not just a matter of earth life corrupting us. It's more a matter of the choices we make. There are lots of distractions here. Some of them are good, really good. But some of them do nothing but drag us down. And those are the negative emotions like anger and jealousy and hate. So every time at this time of the year, at Christmas, when the sun is at the lowest point on the horizon, we are called to go within and to reconnect with that Christ child within us. And if we're attentive to what's going on inside of us, we know that something is trying to be born. And that truly is the Christmas story. It's happening within us each and every year. Now, of course, you can say it happens all the time, but especially this time of year, because the creation is all one thing, and we're part of that creation. And the creation does not exist apart from God. God is a great being within whom we live, we move, and we have our being. Our being and God's being are the same. But as with everything in earth life, there are cycles. And this is a yearly cycle that we all go through, and it's the best opportunity to go within and to connect with the divine part of us, which is trying to be born, wants to be born, and we can rush in and meet it and open our hearts to it and let it rise up within us so that once again we can be infused with that divine life, so that when springtime comes along and all the stresses of nature and of our nature come to bear upon us, we'll have that extra storehouse of strength and purity and clear-headedness with which to meet them. So thanks for listening, and be sure to click on the subscribe button below and keep an eye out for the next video, which will be coming out in about a week's time. We'll see you then.